I've noticed we're losing subscribers. Not the YouTube kind, but the kind that swore they'd be in my life forever. Funny how that works. One day you're surrounded by people who claim to love you, and the next, you're watching them walk away like you were just another phase in their lives. By the way, if you're here, do me a favor, subscribe. It's free, and unlike some people in my life, you won't regret sticking around. For 5 years I had no contact with them. Not a single call, no attempt to reach out, nothing. But honestly, I wasn't interested in talking to them either. After what happened, silence was easier. Karen and I had been together for a long time, long enough that when she betrayed me, it shattered me completely. I loved her. Truly, deeply. It took therapy, time, and sheer willpower to move on, and even now, I can't say I'm fully over it. But I manage. The rest of the family stayed in touch occasionally, and through them I learned the unthinkable. Karen had a son. Not mine, but my brother's. A paternity test confirmed it, and that was it for me. Just 1 month after giving birth, she and my brother, Chris, officially became a couple. They were together for 5 years and eventually got married. It never crossed my mind to speak to her again. Why would I? Then, out of nowhere, my mother reached out. A single email, urgent and unexpected. She wanted to talk immediately. My mother, the one who had supported Karen and Chris to an unhealthy degree, was suddenly desperate to speak with me. Curious just a little, I called her. The moment she answered, she was in tears. Her voice shook as she told me the news. Chris had been in a terrible accident. A hit and run. The impact was devastating, leaving him in a coma. The doctors had no idea how long his recovery would take. It had only been 3 days since they confirmed his condition was severe, and my mother had waited until now to tell me. I assumed she wanted me to visit, maybe offer support. Despite everything, this was still serious. Life-threatening. I wasn't heartless. If she had just asked me to be there for the family, I might have considered it. But then she blindsided me with something else. She didn't just want me to see Chris. She wanted me to replace him. I barely had time to process her words when she continued, saying it was now my duty to step in, to take care of Karen and her son. Not just financially but emotionally, as a husband and father figure. I was speechless. She insisted that she was too old to care for them herself and that it was only right for me to step up. As if Chris was already gone. As if what Karen had done to me didn't matter. As if I owed them something after 5 years of complete silence. And she wanted me to decide right there on the call. I lost it. How could she think I'd say yes? After everything? She abandoned me when I needed her, and now, out of nowhere, she expected me to fix the mess Karen and Chris had made? I told her very clearly that she was out of her mind. I wasn't going to do it. She got angry, shouting at me, trying to guilt-trip me, but I wasn't having it. I hung up and blocked her number again. For the rest of the day I tried to move on. But my mind kept circling back to it. To the accident. To Chris, lying unconscious in a hospital bed. To Karen and her son, now alone. I wasn't going to do what my mother wanted, but still. I felt something. Not guilt exactly. More like confusion. A strange weight in my chest. That night I decided to call my father. He had always been the more level-headed one. If anyone would see reason, it would be him. But when I told him about the conversation with my mother, he agreed with her. I was stunned. My father, the rational one, was saying the exact same thing. That Karen and I had a history. That it made sense. That I should consider stepping in. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Had they all lost their minds? Update 2. I recently learned from some of my relatives that my brother's condition is still critical, and he has shown no significant signs of improvement. It has been nearly 2 weeks and he remains in the hospital. While I do feel bad for my family and acknowledge how difficult this must be for them, I know there is nothing I can personally do. Everyone connected to my family has visited my brother at least once during the past 2 weeks to offer their condolences and support. Under normal circumstances, I might have done the same. However, I also found out through my relatives that my parents have been spreading lies about me to anyone who visits them at the hospital. They've been telling people that they begged me to visit, but I refused, claiming I said this was karma for what happened 5 years ago and that my brother deserved this. For the record, I never said anything of the sort. I would never. Despite everything, I'm not the kind of person who wishes harm upon others. Some relatives reached out to ask if what my parents were saying was true. They told me it didn't sound like something I would say, and I assured them that my parents were making up stories, probably just to get a reaction out of me or because that's simply the kind of people they are. If they had succeeded in turning my extended family against me, I doubt anyone would have spoken to me again. Even though my parents cut me off 5 years ago, my aunts, uncles, and cousins have always supported me. The idea that my parents would try to sabotage those relationships as well just to punish me is infuriating. I can't understand why they seem to hate me so much when I haven't even done anything to them. They've always favored my brother, but this level of manipulation is beyond anything I expected. At this point, I know I made the right decision by keeping my distance. Update 3. 2 days ago I shared an update. Today my mother decided to take things a step further. Since I blocked her everywhere, she had no way to reach me, so she showed up at my house unannounced. She must have been waiting for me because as soon as I got home from work, she was there. The moment I saw her, I felt exhausted. I nearly turned back and got in my car to leave, but she noticed me. I had no choice but to talk to her. I refused to let her inside, so we spoke in the front yard. In hindsight, this was a mistake. At first, the conversation started off calm. She acted casual as if nothing had happened, and I responded politely. But I couldn't hold back anymore. I asked her why she was spreading lies about me. I told her that, despite everything, I never wished any harm upon my family. All I ever wanted was to move on, but they were making it impossible. I had been suppressing my feelings for so long that when I finally confronted her, everything spilled out. I told her that after the way they treated me, I found it hard to even consider them my family anymore. I said that I had just gotten home from work and wasn't in the mood for an emotionally charged conversation, so whatever she came to say could wait. That was when everything changed. She had been listening to me up until that point, but as soon as I told her I wasn't willing to talk, she lost her temper. She started yelling, so loudly that my neighbors took notice. She accused me of being ungrateful, saying I should be happy that I still have a family at all. Then she said something that truly stunned me. She told me she had half a mind to cut me off permanently and make sure the rest of the family stopped speaking to me as well. According to her, I hadn't sounded sad enough when I first found out about my brother's accident. She expected me to be more emotional over the phone. I told her that I was shocked and upset, but just because I didn't react the way she wanted me to didn't mean I didn't care. It was an absurd argument. Then she started screaming again, this time about Karen and my nephew, saying my absence proved I didn't care about them either. At this point, it was clear she was just making up excuses to justify their treatment of me. It was ridiculous. I was done. I turned away, unlocked my door, and went inside, ignoring her as she kept yelling. She tried to follow me in, but I shut the door in her face and told her to leave. She banged on the door for a while, still shouting insults until I threatened to call the police. That's when she finally left. But before she did, she warned me that I would suffer the consequences for this. I don't even want to know what that means. I just want to be left alone. Update 4. It has now been 26 days since the accident, and my family finally has some good news. My brother is showing signs of improvement. He is responding better to treatment, though he is still not out of the woods. Of course, I wasn't told this directly. I heard it from my cousins. Even though my parents have effectively disowned me, I genuinely hope my brother makes a full recovery. The past month has been difficult for everyone, including me. No matter how much they try to paint me as the villain, I do not want anything bad to happen to him. Unfortunately, my parents haven't stopped harassing me. A few days after my last confrontation with my mother, my father called me. But he was sneaky about it. He used a different number so I wouldn't recognize it. When I picked up, he immediately started yelling. I barely had time to process what was happening. It wasn't just the yelling, it was when he called. He deliberately called me at 5 o'clock in the morning, knowing I would be asleep and disoriented when I answered. He wanted to catch me off guard. The level of manipulation is unreal. At this point, I have no choice. I need to go no contact with them for good. If I don't, they'll keep trying to drag me back into their toxic cycle. I don't know what their next move will be, but I'm done playing their games. Final update, Update 5. Hey everyone, it's been almost 3 years since my last update, and coming back here feels surreal. So much has changed, mostly for the better. Right now, I'm living and working in Germany, where I've been for the past year and a half. Life has truly taken a turn for the better, and I've even started seeing someone. My girlfriend and I have been together for 8 months now, and honestly, things have been great. As for my family, I've had zero contact with them for the past 3 years, and I have to say, it's been absolutely liberating. That's not to say I've cut off everyone. I still keep in touch with my good relatives, but my parents? No. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, about my brother, he made a full recovery. It took him some time, but eventually he bounced back. After he started getting better, Karen, yes, that Karen, came to see me. She wanted to apologize for everything that had happened. But honestly, at that point I had moved on. I told her there was no need for an apology, not because I had forgiven them, but because I genuinely didn't care anymore. A little while later, when my family found out I was moving to Germany for work, Karen showed up again, this time with a bouquet of flowers. She said she was apologizing on behalf of both her and my brother because my brother was too ashamed to face me himself. I suppose the guilt caught up with him after all these years. But honestly, it didn't make a difference to me anymore. I told them both the same thing. I forgave them, but I wasn't interested in reconnecting. I was done. Since then, I've been living my best life. My parents never tried to reach out again, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. I refuse to ever let them back into my life, under any circumstances. I just wanted to come back here and share this final update with those of you who followed my journey from the start. To everyone who supported me, thank you. Your kindness and encouragement meant the world to me during some of my darkest days. Now it's time for me to get back to living my life. Take care, everyone. I finally found my peace. Final thoughts and a lesson to take away. If there's one lesson to take from my story, it's this. You are not obligated to maintain relationships that harm you, even if they're family. Sometimes, the people who are supposed to love and support us the most turn out to be the ones who hurt us the deepest. And when that happens, choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. Walking away from toxic relationships isn't easy, but in the end, it's the best thing you can do for your mental health, happiness, and future. To anyone out there who has been made to feel like they owe something to people who have only hurt them, you don't. You deserve peace. You deserve love. And most importantly, you deserve to be free. Does this story resonate with you? If you've ever dealt with toxic family dynamics, favoritism, or had to cut ties for your own well-being, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and share your experiences. Your story might help someone who's struggling with a similar situation. If this story touched you in any way, please like, share, and comment to spread this message. You never know who might need to hear it. Thanks for being here. Stay strong and always choose yourself.